have known that education is a form of learning in which the knowledge, skills, and habits of a group of people are transferred from one generation to the next through teaching, training, as well as research. It is simple to say that education is preparing a person to face everyday life.
Education gives us world knowledge and apply them to change the better world. Knowledge helps us to understand a new perspective on life and opinions. Education enables us to interpret things, among other things, which is not just about lessons in textbooks, but it is about lessons of life.
Without the education, you will not explore the new ideas. This means you will be unable to develop the world because without ideas, there is no creativity, and without creativity, there is no development. One thing we should do is to provide education for all, no child left behind, and change the world to become better.
Long time ago, Thai people have originally started their learning from the temples. Since temples provide education, but it was available for boys only. After that, for over 1,000 years, the girls began studying. However, the education is not provided for all the children. It is only provided for the children who have excellent family financial status. Accordingly, education is unequal from the past until now.
In the present, most of Thai students often take tutorial course, so it means Thai education had failed because these students have skipped their school classes to learn in tutorial schools. Some of them have to spend around 10,000 baht for these tuition fees. However, they have to learn through video instead of real teachers.
From overview, Thai students are facing educational inequality as two waves. The first wave is international inequality. If you were born as Thai student, you would face more difficult and harder education compared to our neighbors. Conversely, the skill reputation which you receive from education is less than them.
The second wave is inequality among schools, such as small school and high competitive schools, or public and private schools. The main problem is each school different on quality of education. In the narrow perspective on education, Thai students have an ability on learning regard to the amount of receiving Olympics medal among last 5 years. It is possible to reach 100 medals approximately. However, about 80% of these medals are affiliated to only few schools, contrasting to the image of small schools, which some schools don't have enough teachers for all classes in school. It causes a disorderly development as we need to see.
Equality of tuition costs. Nevertheless, any countries which still have tutorial course, education systems of those countries are still not successful yet. Since the school provide education should be enough for preparing students to grow up as adults. Tutorial course may divide people into two groups, payable and unpayable groups. Payable students can get more advantage than the other group. This might be explained that this group of students also have more advantage than other students in education, moreover in society, just because they were luckily born in the stable financial status families.
There are still two factors representing why students have to attend the tutorial schools. Educational inequality is the first factor affecting students' learning. For example, when they compare their study with the other schools, they feel that their school is below the average of basic educational quality. They will choose tutorial school to boost up their score and grades. The tutorial school assists them to review and understand the lessons. Nevertheless, this is not the only one lesson. why there is inequality of education. If this is the only point, you may not see the students from famous schools entering to this education system. However, we still see them join tutorial school.
The second factor is from the differentiations between studying and testing. For example, ONET, GATPAD, which both of them are totally different on the lesson. It caused the decreasing on school system education, on tutorial school system. Eventually, the basic education should be a basic welfare, which everyone is able to access it equally. As we have mentioned that, if we want to see meritocracy society, or the society which two differential students are able to success, depends on their ability and diligence, rather than uncontrollable factors like parents' financial status. The accessibility of education, which is the basic education equality for all, needs to be provided. Lastly, technology is the part of solutions to decrease the education spending. When telling about education technology, it is not only the technology for accessing the learning. It may also be technology for exchanging each-person teaching techniques.
Although technology is able to help, it is not enough because all of research work indicates the most significant on education quality is the quality of teacher. However, there are two problems on teacher. The first is the spending of time doing paperwork rather than teaching students. Teachers should be able to spend their time for teaching rather than doing paperwork. Then, the career of teacher should be elevated as the main dream occupation for many people. Not only the concerning on salary, it should concern welfare, progress on their occupation, increasing the efficiency on teaching and spending time with their students. It is more attractive to anyone who wants to be a teacher.
In addition, there are some problems, like environment allow students distancing between students' home and school.
Not only Thai students are facing educational inequality, but also some countries, as seen from Malala Yousafzai, a Muslim girl who demands educational equality, has even been shot in her head. She was oppressed from Taliban, who ordered banning the girl for accessing an education. Even learning practicing themselves as housewives, they arrested everyone's right to freedom, and women are more free than men. For ridiculous reason is because they are women.
Even though UNICEF ever calls for equality education for all children and African American, especially female, ever call out too.
Regarding on of reasons, everyone should realize the importance of education and help all children access education equally, because everyone deserves a good education, have a good quality of life, without being discriminated against by gender, ethnicity, or religion.